What's up? What's up? What's up, y'all? How y'all doing today? So today we're gonna be talking about Texas. I don't know if y'all seen this, but this is all up and down my pages and all my traffic about Texas. There's something going on down there in Texas. Y'all got that glaze that keep getting over my eye. There's something going on in Texas, right? That's a little better. Okay, so what's going on in Texas is that they have passed a new law, and I haven't like researched this all the way, but I've been listening to other people's videos and seeing what's going on down there. And it's something about they passed this new law about if you get caught with any THC, or if you get caught smoking in your car, like you going to jail and you gonna serve so many years and this and that and that and this or whatever. Now you know who that's for, right? And I'm just putting this out here for people that's thinking about moving to Texas. Now, let me say this. I am from Decatur, Illinois, right? I have a lot of friends, classmates, family members, and people that I conversate with now that I've been knowing for years that's looking to move forward to Texas right now. But like a lot of the people that I have grown up with are already down there. A lot of the people that I have went to high school with and junior high, they're already down there. But I have conversations now about with people I've known for a long time around here, that's talking about selling their houses and leaving, going to Texas. Now, I've personally never been to Texas before, but I hear some amazing things from Texas, about Texas. But ever since I was younger and that stuff happened with that guy, what was his name, Reginald Denning or something, where he got drugged down there, I've always had a bruise on my heart, and I just didn't feel like Texas was the place for me to be at. Just like Oklahoma or whatever, when that guy, what was his name? Was it Timothy McVeigh or somebody? I don't know. Y'all know and Timothy McVeigh might be somebody else that did something else, but it was a guy that did that Oklahoma bombing, and ever since that happened, I've never wanted to go to Oklahoma. I'm just being honest. Like, I know things happen all the time, but by me being who I am and being an empath, like when certain major worldwide events happen, that kind of puts a stain on that state for me, as far as if I would like to move there, because they telling you and they showing you how they feel about you, you know. But my thing is, I guess what I'm saying is, if you are considering moving to Texas, I just want you to think about it, because there are some videos that I have seen with black people born and raised in Texas that are true Texans, and they telling y'all not to move down there. Now, the reports that I have heard from some of the people that I grew up with and friends and classmates and stuff like that, they say it's beautiful, and I don't doubt it, because at one time I was thinking about moving to Texas or whatever. Well, one of my cousins, my first cousin, wanted me, and him and his wife invited me to come down there, and said I didn't know what I was missing, and I believe it, because they was big time up here, and now they big time in Texas. And so I was looking up one time, if I was to move to Texas, I want to find out what parts of Texas was the most eclectic? What parts of Texas was the most eccentric? What parts of Texas was more electric? Because if I move again, I want to be amongst my right set of people. Just like, you move to some parts and they have a hippie town and hippies are over there, or you have some parts where people are Gothic and they have a Gothic town, or you have a Spanish town. I wanted to find out where was my people at if I was going to move to Texas. And I can't remember all these places, but I remember one that stood out in my head if I was going to move to Texas would have been Austin. They said Austin is eccentric and electric and eclectic for people like me or whatever. But I turned around and I went in there and I looked at the minuses and the pros of moving to Texas, and they said that traffic would be one thing, like you would battle a lot of traffic. Now, I've lived in Atlanta, I lived in Ohio, I lived in Tennessee. I've lived some different places where there was a lot of traffic, Georgia. So I'm not scared of traffic, but what I always did when I moved to these places, I always moved to a place that was off, that had everything that I needed, in that area that I stayed in, so I didn't have to get on those main routes to deal with the traffic. I made sure, but there was times, certain jobs or something where I had to travel out and get out there or whatever. But for the most part, I tried to find a job in that area that I lived in. I looked around and saw, what stores they had to offer, what restaurants they had to offer, that would keep me from going and venturing out and have to be bothered with that type of stuff. But I would get out when I needed to. But like I said, I'm 49. I'll be 50 here in December, and I don't want to be bothered with all this traffic and stuff like that. And it's a shame because I'm a city girl. I love city lights. When it comes to that, I'm a country girl, but I'm a city girl. And I love downtowns at night when they lit up. I love to see lights all over the place. I love to see expressways. I love to see traffic. I love to be sitting up somewhere high where I can watch all the traffic, expressways and traffic's creating a path, and I get to see everything running and business moving and shaking and vibrating. To wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning and see all these city lights and all these headlights and all these monuments and all these buildings lit up, and Bank of USA and Coca-Cola Atlanta, and that is a beautiful thing for me. That is my type of peace. But I don't want to be in it. So basically, what I'm saying is, y'all, I'm hearing so much stuff about this Texas stuff. If you are thinking about moving to Texas, I'm not going to discourage you from moving there. I'm going to say do your research, because some of this stuff, these new laws that they passed, they might not even apply to you. You might not even smoke weed at all. You know what I'm saying? Or you might not have to have it where you out smoking on the streets or whatever, where you could just get it straight home or whatever. So some of these laws might not even apply to some people. But for the ones that it does apply to, do your research before you move to Texas. When I was a kid, my mother always said this, and y'all know I'm not a racist, I'm a realist. My mother and my family, my grandmother, my uncles, stories that I've heard about my uncles that I never met, my aunties that I never met, they always had this saying, and it was, black folks drinking, what they say, black niggas thinking, drinking, what stinking. That's what it was. It was black folks drinking, white folks stinking. And what they meant by this was how my mom would always go in depth and say, how we as our people, we up, 2 and 3 in the morning coming from the club, we having barbecues and drinking beer and got loud music going on. at 2 and 3 in the morning. But at 2 and 3 in the morning, the opposition got their game together. They slapping on suits and ostrich, snake skins and belts, and grabbing their briefcases and tightening their ties up. They going down to the White House. They going down to the building where they do that, where they do all that politicking and where they writing them laws. We opening up the door to the club. They opening up the door to the White House to go up in there and write a law and slap it on your. You see what I'm saying? I'm not a racist. I'm a realist. So, when I was younger, I moved a lot of places and I jumped around because I was younger to do that. You see what I'm saying? So I jumped around a lot. But, everybody it's jumping around now at older ages that's like that I know of, like that's in their 50s and their 60s. They jumping around because of what they hearing, what they in search for. New York got it going on. I heard New York the place to be. Texas got it going on. I heard Texas the place to be. Detroit got it going on. I heard Detroit the place to be. Memphis got it going on. I heard Memphis the place to be. If these places ain't for you, then it's not the place to be. I'ma just keep it real. You know what I'm saying? Like all this moving and jumping around, especially after you're a certain age, you won't be able to accumulate anything if you keep on jumping around. You got to get somewhere and get grounded and get stable. So if you do want to move to Texas, or if you want to move to the other, fine. But at some point, you have to commit to yourself that this is where I'm going to be and this is where I'm going to stay in order to accumulate some things. Because anytime you keep jumping up, that means you have to keep leaving something behind. You keep starting over. You keep starting over. You keep having to start over. So I just want to put that out there and find out what was going on with this Texas law. And it got to be something serious if the Texans are on there telling their people don't move down there. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the thing, right? All these politicians and these senators and these politicking folks, these Republicans, these Democrats, whatever, Democrats, they all are familiar with who's coming in and who's going out of their city. They know exactly who's stepping in. You better believe it. They know exactly who's going out. You better believe it. As long as your ass got a Social Security card and you got a birth certificate, you ain't sliding nowhere unnoticed to nobody. And so they have a demographic sheet, census sheets, analytic sheets, where they can see exactly who moving into their city, how many people moving into their city by the year, what color is moving in, what color is leaving, the age group of these people. I'm not lying. You ain't sliding on no banana peels up in nobody's city. These governments and senators, they on your ass. They know. You fart, they there to catch the smell. They know. And when they review their charts, okay, well, 5 years ago, we had 10,000 people moving into Texas. Now it's 15 years and we got 80 people moving in. Wait a minute. We gonna figure out how to get in here and put a hold on some of this shit. See, now we gonna get to weeding some shit out because we don't need y'all up in here. We can't even hardly handle the Texans that's here. We can't even hardly handle the Georgians that's here. We can't even hardly handle the Illinoisans that's here. Somebody better get up and listen to me. So, if you're thinking about moving there, this is the thing, right? I hate this law that they passing, but at the same time, I'm going to say this. Every city and every state comes with their own set of rules. Just like every household, every landlord, every person that owns